Okay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session today on financial student services. This session is really to give you a ton of information about your financial responsibility while you're here and to educate you about resources that you're going to have available to you. So we have two panelists joining us today, Charles Moore, who is our Director of Financial Aid, and Bobby Brown, who is our bursar. For this session, you will be muted, so go ahead and engage with us in the chat. Ask questions and we will be happy to answer them and then have some Q&A at the end for any general questions that we can tackle. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our panelists.
Good afternoon. My name is Charles Moore. I'm the Director of Financial Aid at Jacksonville University. Today we're going to go through a session that will hopefully answer some very broad questions as it relates to information you've already received, whether that be in the financial notification you received from us or in previous conversations that you may have had with your financial aid counselor. The first slide that we'll actually see today will have the contact information for everybody's financial aid professional. So I do want to definitely stress that every individual at Jacksonville University has access to someone that can answer financial aid questions and potentially even just connect dots on some dead ends that you may have found. Any conversation you want to have as it relates to aid eligibility, potential borrowing, these folks are the best points of contact. So Sherry Steelman, Rob Lohman, and Misty Pippin are the primary undergraduate counselors for traditional students. If you're utilizing any sort of VA benefit, then Carrie Bogus would be your point of contact. If you do have any questions as it relates to any athletic scholarships or things of that nature, you can direct those to me or to your financial aid counselor, and we can definitely address anything going on there. So again, these are the folks in my office. They are definitely engaged and ready to help. So if you want to take down their numbers, they will definitely be available for any questions. So we try to break everything into a checklist. So just, steps 1 through 5 here on this slide as far as what you need to do for us so that we can do the best job of helping you. Filing the FAFSA can be done as early as October. So hopefully that is something that's already been completed and we've already had an opportunity to review that on our end. If you've not filed a FAFSA yet, there is still an opportunity to do so. So if you have not filed a FAFSA, you can still go out to the FAFSA website and complete the 2020-2021 FAFSA. That will arrive to us in approximately 2 to 4 business days, and then we can follow through with these remaining steps. So when we get your FAFSA at the point you've been admitted, we review for all aid eligibility that we can match you to. So that will include the institutional scholarship that you received notification from the admissions office, as well as any state and or federal assistance, fine arts assistance, or athletic scholarships. Anything that we have been made aware of will all be put together on that financial aid notification letter. At the point that we send that information out to you, there may be some additional paperwork items that we need to have completed. So if you go into student self-service, that is where you will be able to see anything that we need you to complete to make sure that we can get all of those financial aid resources that we've identified for you ready to pay for the fall semester. Also through that student self-service portal, you can accept the federal student loan eligibility that you've got available. When we receive your FAFSA, we do award your aid eligibility that you have. Everybody qualifies for a federal direct student loan. If you accept the loan opportunity, then you would also need to complete loan entrance counseling and the master promissory note. And both of those are completed at studentloans.gov. At the point that you've got all of your financial aid complete and ready to pay when we arrive in the fall semester, there's kind of that three-pronged, what is left over, what do I need to do now? Some of that can be bridged through a private education loan. Private education loans are available through most major financial institutions. These are educational loan programs that are credit-based. Typically, the student is the primary borrower, but someone else will act as a cosigner. The Parent Plus Loan Program. This is a parent loan program available through the Department of Education. And we'll discuss that a little bit further as we go through the slides. Certainly the JU payment plan is an option. Bobby will talk about that in a little bit, but that can be set up for as many as 6 months. I think we can go ahead. So those of you that are from the state of Florida, the top part of the slide is applicable. We can certainly utilize Florida Bright Futures at a private institution in the state of Florida, both at the academic or medallion level. If you do not see Bright Futures on your financial information at this point, please do reach out to your financial aid advisor. We can double check in the state database, make sure that everything is ready to go for the fall semester. The Bright Futures is a little bit different at a private institution. It is calculated on a per credit hour dollar figure. So it is a moving number. Once registration is complete, and really after add drop is the final check that we will make to make sure that we're paying you for every credit hour that you're enrolled in. The EASE grant, this award is eligible to any student who has a parent that can document residency in the state of Florida. For this award, we typically collect 2 forms of Florida issued ID for a parent. So normally a copy of a driver's license and then either vehicle or voter registration are the most common. The federal student loan eligibility that I mentioned that you'll see on your award notification. This eligibility is available to all students who file a FAFSA. You can borrow these funds and await repayment until after graduation. And then you can see the origination fee and the current interest rate that's in play. We can go ahead. So you may have 2 different types of direct student loan eligibility. If it is a subsidized loan, what that means is the Department of Education or the federal government is actually paying the interest on this loan while you're in school. So for the entire time that you're borrowing a subsidized loan, the entire time that you're enrolled until graduation, there is not any interest accruing on a subsidized loan. This is need-based, so it does have some relationship to the FAFSA and to the expected family contribution that the department calculates when you file. The unsubsidized piece is not need-based. This amount does have an interest rate while you're in school, roughly around 4.5% right now. And this would also not require repayment while you're enrolled, but that interest is accruing. When you fill out your master promissory note, you do have the opportunity to check a box that says you would like to pay the unsubsidized interest only while you're in school. This is a great option because it prevents the loan from capitalizing interest on itself while you're enrolled. Definitely is a nice opportunity to get you in the habit of making a very small monthly payment as well on that unsubsidized piece. So this is the Parent Plus loan in a little bit more detail. The Department of Education makes available a loan program actually for a parent of a dependent student. So this Plus loan can be applied for by a parent on the same website that the student would complete their direct loan paperwork. So studentloans.gov. It is again for the parent. So the parent is the applicant. They are the one who is having their credit checked. They are the one that is being approved. You can request any amount you would wish in a Plus loan up to the full cost of attendance, less any other financial aid that's in play. So this is a tool that families have been using quite significantly over the last few years. I would say volume this year is pretty high as well. The interest rate now is a fixed rate of 7.08. That is actually significantly lower than where it has been the last few years. So it is becoming an option that folks really do like. The distinction with the Plus loan and a private loan really is the interest rate or the credit approval process. With a private education loan, it is debt to income ratio review that the lender is doing. And if you've got excellent credit, then you are getting the best possible interest rate available through that private loan provider. Whereas with a PLUS loan, the Department of Education is approving credit checks with really, as long as there's not adverse credit history, the PLUS loan would likely be approved. And there's no benefit to having excellent credit. The same interest rate is in play for every approved borrower. Both are definitely appropriate given certain situations. And again, I would encourage you to have a conversation with your financial aid counselor if you really want to weigh the options between PLUS and private. So this is the JU student portal. myju.edu is where you would log in to see any information that we're asking for. So any documents that you need to complete your financial aid. You'd also be able to see your account statement here. This is also a place that you can set up a authorized user to access your account. So obviously you have, as a student, login credentials. You can create an additional authorized user that would be able to log in and see information such as your billing statement or any other information that you give access to. Email is really the place that you'll see a lot of direct communications from the university, but this JU portal is where you can really self-serve. Most of the information that you will need is going to be on the portal. Check it often. You will be able to see any updates from your student account live 24/7. So student employment. There are two different student employment opportunities on our campus. There is what's called federal work study. It is something that you would need to see on your financial award notification. So if you do see a federal work study line on your award notification, that means that you can work on campus and be paid from a federal work study position. There is also university work study. University work study, you do not have to have any sort of an award on your financial aid notification. You do still go through the same process for both programs simply by reaching out to supervisors and applying for positions directly through them. As we move a little deeper into July, there will be listings for open positions, both with federal or university work study as an opportunity. And you can actually reach out directly to the supervisor to set up an interview or just a communication to let them know that you're arriving in the fall semester. And if you have any questions, again, in the financial aid office, we do have a dedicated professional that can answer any questions as it relates to work study opportunity, and her name is Donna Bratcher. At the point that you're hired into a position, we would just strongly encourage you to set up direct deposit. Direct deposit is important to make sure that you can be paid without any interruption to any business process. And this final slide is one it's important. So financial aid eligibility is awarded annually. And we want to make sure that all of the eligibility that we've been able to identify for you now is something that can be carried forward into future academic years. So it's very important to take a look at what financial aid awards do I have and what are the requirements to make sure that I keep those into future years. So this slide in regard to satisfactory academic progress. The standard, the baseline for financial aid as it relates to federal money, so any direct student loans, Pell eligibility, SEOG, things of that nature, they do require that at the end of the spring, so at the end of the full academic year, you have a cumulative GPA at 2.0 or greater. It also requires that you're completing at least 66.67% of the classes that you've registered for. So any changes during add drop week would not count in this calculation, but any failing grades or any withdrawals would count in this calculation in regard to successfully completed versus total attempted courses. So it's very important just to be aware of where you are. As an example, Florida Brave Futures has other renewal requirements. So, you need at least a 3.0 at the Florida academic level. The EASE grant also has a renewal in regard to cumulative credit hours. So you not only need the 2.0 cumulative GPA, but you also need to have completed at least 24 credit hours between the fall and the spring semester. So it's just an example of how individual awards have different requirements as it relates to renewal. So I would encourage you to check the academic catalog. All of this information is in there, and you can make sure that you're fulfilling all of the requirements to keep the financial aid that we've been able to identify you as eligible for right now. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Bobby Brown, who is our university bursar, and he will introduce his staff.
Thank you, Charles. In the same manner as student financial services in the financial aid department, we also are here to help you and make sure that your time at JU is successful in graduation in the long run. So all of our staff are listed here with their phone numbers, and Teresa and Shannon are our frontline staff. They're the people that you've probably already spoken to or will speak to. Valeria manages our sponsorships, and Heather manages payment processing and making sure that from a payment standpoint, everything's working the way it should be. Marcia and I manage whatever falls to us. So we're all here to help. Don't feel like you need to reach out to one person or another. We're here to help regardless of the question. So with that, some important information on the bursar side. So your bill can be viewed on the student portal under financial information. We do not send out a paper statement anymore. So if you are looking for your bill, you can view it online in real time through the self-service financial information portal. JU does also offer a 6-month payment plan. And for this year, we're actually extending that through August. So you'll be able to sign up for a 6-month payment plan through August of 2020, and that would extend through January of 2021 in hopes that that will allow a little bit more leniency in this health pandemic. So there's no interest on the payment plan. There is a $75 enrollment fee, and then as long as you make your payments on time, there's no additional fees for that payment plan. As far as general, not just this semester and next semester, but the next 4 years, the payment due dates here are set. So August 1st is always going to be the fall semester deadline. December 1st is always going to be the spring semester deadline, and May 1st is always going to be the summer semester deadline. So kind of earmark those in your mind, mark them on your calendar if you're a calendar person, so that as those dates approach, you make sure that you're tying up any loose ends with financial aid, and then following that up with the bursar office and payment plans and arrangements or sponsorships if you have them. So the next slide is for authorized users, and what that is the student gives a user the opportunity to log in as themselves and view their statement, make payments on their account, as well as view various other things in financial aid and the registrar area. So that can be signed up for by the student under the user options section on self-service on the left side of the screen. Once you sign up for that, your parent, guardian, or sponsor can log in and see your account and make payments. As I stated, there's no paper bills. They're all electronic and in real time on the self-service portal. However, we do send out a monthly PDF email on the 15th of every month as kind of a gentle reminder if you still have a balance to make sure you're following up on it with the bursar's office and financial aid if that needs to be worked on. So if you get a statement on the 15th of the month, definitely reach out and make sure we close that loop for that one. And then late fees are for anyone that hasn't paid their balance or signed up for a payment plan. At the end of every month, starting August 31st, we assess a $150 late fee. You can avoid that just by reaching out to our office and letting us know what's going on, and we're happy to work with you in any way that we can within reason. So our payment options, we try to offer as many payment options as possible. Cash, check, e-check, credit cards, all 4 major credit cards are accepted. Financial aid, payment plans, sponsorships. Sponsorships, just for a definitional purpose, are your employers that are wanting to pay or pay a portion of your bill depending on their agreement with you. So some people will have them, some people won't. If you think you have one, definitely reach out, either Valeria or myself, and we can help you with that. And then the 529 plans, I know there's several state plans as well as just overarching 529 plans that aren't attached to a state. So if you have one of those, give me a call, shoot me an email, and we'll make sure that we help you with that in any way we can. We've worked with most of them at this point, so we're definitely going to be able to help you. Regarding 1098Ts, if you don't have another sibling or relative in college, 1098Ts are kind of a very niche tax form. However, they are important for you, and what they report is they report to the IRS your tuition and fees and your scholarships. And so that's where you're going to get your tax credits and your tuition credits for paying tuition and fees at JU. So you will get one. Everyone that enrolls at Jacksonville University will get a 1098T. However, it is always made out to the student because the student is the person that's responsible for those tuition and fees. So, excuse me. So if your student is filing as a dependent under your tax return, definitely make sure you reach out to them. We offer two options to get the 1098T. One is, the old school mail, and we'll mail that to the address on file. The other one is the electronic delivery system. So it's, once again, within the self-service portal. Generally in mid to late January, we'll send out an email to all students that have signed up for electronic 1098T access, letting them know that they're out there at that point. So keep an eye out. End of January every year, you'll get a 1098T for the previous tax year. Regarding health insurance, JU does require every student to have health insurance while they're on campus at Jacksonville University. We do offer a health insurance plan. So if you would like to use that health insurance plan versus one that you're on, you can definitely do that. If you would not like to use that health insurance plan from Jacksonville University, you do need to opt out. The opt-out waiver form is online, and you should be also getting an email about once a week if you haven't waived yet. So keep an eye out on your JU email for that link. And also I will try to get it in the chat here in a second. The JU Dolphin Direct book bundle. So this is new this year. It is a book bundle program where students are going to be able to get on the first day of classes their books from the bookstore. So rather than a student going out and looking at their account to see what classes they're registered for, what books the professors have assigned to those classes, this program will allow a student to just not opt out, which is effectively opting in, and we will send a file to the Barnes & Noble's bookstore letting them know that you have not opted out. They will order your books, and then on the first day of classes, you'll be able to go down to the bookstore and have your books in a box ready for you to go for your first day of classes. It is $350 per semester, so you do have to opt out every semester if you don't want it. The books that will be included are at the professor's designation. So you're either going to get a paper book, an ebook, or an access code for a book. So depending on what your professor designates, you can get those books if you decide not to opt out of the program. Additional supplies are not included. So your lab coats, goggles, art kits, anything that is not deemed as required by the professor or mandatory by the professor, but might be optional, are not going to be included in this book bundle. And then the opt-out is an e-form for this book bundle program, and it's located on the MyJU page on the top right. There'll be an e-forms icon that you can click on to opt out of that. We are also sending pretty frequent, I want to say at least weekly, communication about book bundle opt-out as well. So once again, keep an eye on your JU email if you have any questions on that. All right, we've thrown a lot of information at you, and we're going to open up the chat and answer some questions here in a second. But as far as big picture, what's next, make sure that all your financial aid documents are turned in. You can once again check that on the MyJU page, and there's a checklist that you can go through, and they'll be highlighted green if you've turned them in, yellow if you haven't. Once your financial aid is complete, you're going to want to make a payment arrangement with the bursar's office. Reach out to us. We'll work with you however we can. Go ahead and set up a financial authorized user. You might think you don't want it right now, but it'll end up saving a lot of calls and emails right around finals time, I find, for a lot of students with the parents. So if you can go ahead and sign up for that, definitely do that. And then, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Both financial aid and bursar staff is here. We're working remotely, but we are checking emails constantly, checking voicemails, returning phone calls. So don't hesitate to reach out. And then finally, and most importantly, enjoy your time at JU. We'll rinse and repeat every year on this. So don't forget that all this needs to be done. But once you're done with it for the fall, you're done with it until next year, rolling into fall 2021. So I think that is it. It is. So let me see
Awesome.
here.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We had some follow-up questions in the chat that I just want to make sure we cover on some general topics. Chip, can you tell us a little bit more about the work-study program and what those nuances are? How often do students get paid? What does that look like?
Absolutely. I saw some of the questions in regard to federal versus university. If you have any questions, again, please reach out to your financial aid counselor and they will be able to advise you appropriately on what eligibility you do have, whether it is federal and university or one or the other. Every individual can pursue a university work-study option. It does not take any sort of a financial aid award to do that. To pursue a federal work-study position, it does need to be on your financial aid award notification. So if you log in at MyJU and review your financial aid award notification, that's where you would see federal work-study if it's already there. If it's not there, you could, again, follow up to your financial aid counselor and they can review to see if eligibility does exist and see if we still have funding available. For both programs, federal or university, the university will pay you every 2 weeks for the hours that you've earned, and there are no strings attached to that money. So that is funding that is being paid directly to the student for the hours that they've worked. It is not being placed towards tuition charges. It is being issued directly to the student, and the student can use those funds how they choose.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that information. We also had a question about viewing your financial aid letter. They go to their MyJU portal to view all of that information to see what scholarships they've been awarded. Can you tell us a little bit more about how they can locate that or where they can find that scholarship information?
Sure. So just again, MyJU and then Student Financial Services is where you would go. There's just a sidebar that says View Financial Aid Award Letter, and that would populate anything that is currently on your financial aid. You can also access the information through your account statement, because it would show, if you're registered, all of the information as it relates to your costs for tuition, room, board, etc. And then it will also show all of the financial aid that you've got going against those costs. There's a few different ways to get at it. Just once you're in that Student Financial Services piece of MyJU, it's there. You can click around and see anything that we need from you or anything that we've communicated to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We got a question about the book bundle. Does that include hard copy textbooks? So Bobby, I know you talked about this. So the textbooks that are included are up to the professor, right?
Correct.
Awesome. So if the professor decides that you need a hard copy textbook, that is the copy you'll get. If your professor decides it's an ebook, that's the copy you'll get. And so then there's a question about the wellness fee. Is that something that students are able to opt out of?
I was just typing back, but I'll go ahead and answer it. The wellness fee cannot be opted out of. It does cover more than just the health center. It also covers the rec center and help me here, Chip. What's the other one?
Counseling
yes,
center.
Counseling center. Thank you. So it is a full scope wellness fee, and it cannot be opted out.
Perfect. And then the book bundle, one last question about that. Is that a purchase or a rental?
Most of them will be rentals. It's going to depend on what the bookstore can find and what it's going to say on the book. It'll have a sticker. This is a rental. You need to return it. Or if it doesn't have that sticker, it's a purchase and you'll be able to keep that book.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I think there were some other individual questions in the chat about their specific financial aid packages. Please make sure that you have that open line of communication with your financial aid counselor. They are going to be the biggest resource for you throughout your time here at JU. So please make sure that you start that conversation early and often to check in with them to make sure you have all of those needs taken care of. And then again, this is a yearly thing, so you want to remember to make sure that you apply for the FAFSA each year to make sure that you're all set to go for each semester for each year that you're with us, and make sure that your bills are paid on the first of those months. That's important. So again, thank you so much for your presentation today. The session was recorded and will be available for those who need to catch up on any further information. And again, thank you so much, Bobby and Chip, for your conversations today, and we will provide some additional contact information in the chat for those who did not have their specific questions answered. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Welcome to JU.
Yes.